Why do we relentlessly chase something we can barely define? We spend our lives in pursuit, striving for more, accumulating, achieving, all under the banner of a single, elusive concept: happiness. From the earliest moments of self-awareness, humanity has been captivated by this ideal. The child reaching for a toy, the student striving for good grades, the professional climbing the corporate ladder, the artist seeking expression. At the core of these diverse endeavors lies a common, unspoken question: will this make me happy? But what is this happiness? Is it a fleeting moment of pleasure, a state of mind, or something far more profound? The answers we often embrace are as varied and transient as the experiences themselves. We are told happiness is in material possessions, in the fleeting thrills of entertainment, in social validation, or in the absence of pain. Yet, how many among us have achieved these supposed benchmarks only to find a hollow space where true contentment should reside? The pursuit often feels like an endless cycle, a carrot dangled just out of reach, leaving us perpetually wanting, perpetually searching. The modern world, with its relentless pace and endless distractions, often exacerbates this confusion. We are bombarded with images of curated joy, instant gratification, and a consumerist culture that equates happiness with acquisition. Social media showcases perfect lives, perfect vacations, perfect relationships, subtly whispering that our own imperfect realities are somehow lacking. This constant comparison creates a deficit, a feeling that we are not enough, that we do not have enough, that we are missing out on the secret formula for bliss. We are encouraged to optimize every aspect of our lives, our diets, our workouts, our productivity, our relationships, all in the name of a greater happiness that always seems just around the corner, waiting for the next purchase, the next achievement, the next trend. But if happiness were truly found in these external factors, wouldn't the wealthiest, the most famous, the most beautiful among us be perpetually blissful? History, and indeed our own observations, tells a different story. The human condition is far more complex than a simple equation of external circumstances leading to internal states. Many who seem to have it all grapple with deep-seated anxieties, depressions, and a sense of emptiness. Conversely, individuals facing immense hardship often demonstrate remarkable resilience and a profound sense of peace. This paradox forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth: perhaps we have been looking for happiness in all the wrong places. Perhaps the popular understanding of happiness is fundamentally flawed, leading us down paths that only deepen our dissatisfaction rather than alleviating it. This fundamental human dilemma is not new. Thousands of years ago, in the bustling city-states of ancient Greece, a brilliant mind grappled with this very question. He observed his fellow citizens, their ambitions, their struggles, their triumphs, and their sorrows. He recognized the universal yearning for a life well lived, a life that was not merely about survival or fleeting pleasure, but about flourishing. This philosopher was Aristotle, and his exploration into the nature of happiness laid a foundational blueprint for understanding what it truly means to live a good life. Unlike many modern interpretations, Aristotle did not see happiness as a subjective feeling or a momentary sensation. For him, happiness was not something one felt in the same way one felt joy or sadness. Instead, he saw it as an objective state of being, an activity, a way of living one's life in accordance with virtue. His perspective shifts the focus from external circumstances to internal cultivation, from passive reception to active engagement, from fleeting emotions to a consistent way of living. He challenged the common assumptions of his time, just as his insights challenged the common assumptions of ours. He urged us to look beyond the superficial, beyond the immediate, and to consider the deeper architecture of a truly fulfilling existence. Aristotle's inquiry into happiness, which he termed Eudaimonia, is not a self-help guide in the modern sense, offering quick fixes or emotional hacks. It is a profound philosophical investigation, requiring intellectual rigor and a willingness to examine one's own life and values. He believed that to understand happiness, we must first understand human nature itself. What is our unique function, our highest potential? Just as a flautist's good is to play the flute well, and a sculptor's good is to sculpt well, what is the good of a human being? This teleological approach, looking at the purpose or end goal, is central to his philosophy. He argued that everything in nature has an organ, a function, or characteristic activity. For humans, our unique organ is our capacity for reason, our ability to think, deliberate, and act morally. Therefore, he concluded, true human flourishing, true eudaimonia, must involve exercising this capacity for reason in the highest and best way. This is a stark contrast to the pursuit of mere pleasure, which he acknowledged as part of life but ultimately insufficient for a truly good life. Pleasure, for Aristotle, was a natural accompaniment to virtuous activity, not the end goal itself. It was the cherry on top, not the cake itself. The implications of this distinction are immense, shifting our focus from chasing momentary highs to building a life of substance and meaning. The enduring power of Aristotle's thought lies in its practicality and its focus on agency. He didn't believe happiness was a gift from the gods or a stroke of luck. It was something earned, cultivated, and practiced. It required effort, discipline, and a deep understanding of oneself. It was not a destination one arrived at, but a journey one embarked upon, a way of living each day. This idea of happiness as an ongoing process, a continuous striving towards excellence, offers a much more robust and resilient framework than the fragile, condition-dependent happiness often sought in contemporary society. It empowers individuals, placing the locus of control firmly within their own actions and choices. While external factors can certainly influence our lives, Aristotle teaches us that our ultimate well-being is not dictated by them. It is shaped by how we choose to respond to them, how we cultivate our character, and how we engage with the world through the lens of reason and virtue. This foundational understanding sets the stage for a much deeper dive into the specific components of eudaimonia and how we might begin to incorporate Aristotle's timeless wisdom into our own lives today, navigating the complexities of modern existence with ancient insights. When we talk about happiness today, we often mean a feeling, a fleeting state of joy, contentment, or pleasure. We say, "I feel happy," after a good meal, a successful project, or a fun evening with friends. This common understanding, while valid for describing an emotional state, falls far short of what Aristotle meant by eudaimonia. The very word itself, eudaimonia, is often translated as happiness, but this translation can be misleading. A more accurate rendering might be flourishing, living well, or a good life. It describes an objective state of human excellence, not a subjective mood. Imagine a flourishing tree. It's not feeling happy, but it is thriving, growing strong, bearing fruit, fulfilling its nature. Similarly, eudaimonia is about a human being living optimally, achieving their full potential, and fulfilling their unique human function. It's about living a life that is worthwhile, meaningful, and deeply satisfying, regardless of the momentary ups and downs of emotion. This distinction is absolutely critical to grasping Aristotle's profound insight. If we misunderstand eudaimonia as mere pleasure, we miss the entire point of his philosophy and embark on a futile quest. Aristotle famously argued that eudaimonia is the highest human good, the ultimate end toward which all our actions ultimately aim. Everything we do, every choice we make, is ultimately done for the sake of something else, until we reach this final, self-sufficient end. Why do you study? To get good grades. Why good grades? To get a good job. Why a good job? To earn money. Why money? To live comfortably. Why live comfortably? To be happy. This chain of whys eventually terminates in eudaimonia. No one asks, why do you want to be eudaimon? Because it is considered intrinsically good, an end in itself. This contrasts sharply with things like pleasure, wealth, or honor, which Aristotle viewed as good in themselves but ultimately instrumental, pursued for the sake of something else, namely eudaimonia. You might enjoy pleasure, but you also understand that a life solely dedicated to pleasure can be empty and unfulfilling. You might desire wealth, but you know wealth doesn't guarantee a good life. You might seek honor, but honor depends on the fickle opinions of others and can be lost as quickly as it is gained. Eudaimonia, however, is something internal, stable, and truly self-sufficient. So, if eudaimonia isn't just a feeling, what is it? Aristotle provides a clear answer: the activity of the soul in accordance with virtue. Let's break this down. Activity of the soul refers to our distinctly human capacities, our reason, our emotions, our will. It's not about passive reception but active engagement. And, in accordance with virtue, is the crucial modifier. Virtue, or arete, for Aristotle, means excellence. It's not merely about being good in a moralistic sense, but about performing one's function excellently. A virtuous knife is a sharp knife, a virtuous runner is a fast runner. A virtuous human being is one who excels at being human, which, as we discussed, involves exercising reason well. This means that eudaimonia is not a static state, but an ongoing process, a way of living one's life. It's about habitually engaging in virtuous actions, making choices that align with reason, and developing one's character over time. It requires active participation, conscious effort, and consistent practice. It's a journey, not a destination, a constant striving for excellence in all aspects of our uniquely human existence. This means eudaimonia is not a goal to be achieved once and for all, but a way of living that, when embraced, leads to a fulfilling existence. The concept of virtue is central to understanding eudaimonia. Aristotle identified two main types of virtues: intellectual virtues and moral virtues. Intellectual virtues, such as wisdom, Sophia, and practical wisdom, phronesis, are developed through teaching and experience. They relate to our ability to reason well, understand the world, and make sound judgments about how to act. Practical wisdom, in particular, is crucial because it helps us determine the right course of action in specific situations, guiding our moral choices. Moral virtues, on the other hand, are developed through habit and practice. These include virtues like courage, temperance, generosity, justice, and friendliness. Aristotle believed that we are not born with these virtues, rather, we become courageous by doing courageous acts, just by doing just acts, and temperate by doing temperate acts. It's through repeated, intentional practice that these virtues become ingrained in our character, becoming second nature. This emphasizes the active role we play in shaping our own character and, consequently, our own eudaimonia. It's a process of self-improvement, a continuous striving for excellence, a commitment to becoming the best version of ourselves. The doctrine of the golden mean is a famous and highly practical aspect of Aristotle's moral philosophy. For many moral virtues, he argued that virtue lies in a mean between two extremes, a deficiency and an excess. Courage, for example, is the mean between cowardice, deficiency, and rashness, excess. Generosity is the mean between stinginess, deficiency, and prodigality, excess. Temperance is the mean between insensibility, deficiency, and self-indulgence, excess. This isn't a rigid mathematical mean, but rather a flexible, context-dependent sweet spot that practical wisdom helps us discern. It acknowledges the complexity of human experience and the need for nuanced judgment. Finding the mean requires self-awareness, an understanding of the specific situation, and the ability to regulate one's emotions and desires. It's about finding balance, avoiding extremes, and acting appropriately. This constant calibration, guided by reason and experience, is how we cultivate moral virtue and move closer to eudaimonia. It's a practical guide for navigating the challenges and temptations of life, helping us to make choices that are not only effective but also aligned with our highest human potential. The golden mean encourages us to think critically about our actions, to reflect on our motivations, and to continuously refine our character. Therefore, eudaimonia is not about chasing external rewards or momentary thrills. It's about building a life of virtue, exercising our reason, and actively engaging in excellent activities. It's a holistic approach to living, encompassing intellectual, moral, and social dimensions. It demands effort, commitment, and a willingness to reflect on one's character and actions. It is a state of being that arises from living well, from performing our human function with excellence. This robust and enduring understanding of happiness offers a profound alternative to the fleeting satisfactions often sought in the modern world. It calls us to a higher standard, challenging us to cultivate our inner lives and to live in a way that truly reflects our potential as rational, moral beings. This journey of self-cultivation is precisely the thinking path that Aristotle laid out for us, a path not always easy, but ultimately leading to the deepest and most stable form of human flourishing, a life truly worth living, a life of profound purpose and enduring satisfaction. Understanding that eudaimonia is an activity of the soul in accordance with virtue is one thing, actually living it is another. Aristotle was not merely a theoretician, he was deeply concerned with how people could actually achieve this flourishing. His philosophy is inherently practical, emphasizing the cultivation of character through habit and the guidance of practical wisdom. He understood that living a virtuous life isn't about following a rigid set of rules, but about developing a moral compass that allows us to navigate the complexities of human existence with grace and effectiveness. This requires a conscious and ongoing effort, a commitment to self-improvement that extends throughout our lives. It's about becoming a certain kind of person, one who habitually chooses the good, not just occasionally stumbles upon it. This emphasis on character over isolated actions is a cornerstone of his ethical framework, providing a sturdy foundation for building a truly fulfilling life. How, then, do we cultivate virtue? Aristotle's answer is clear: through habit. He famously stated, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. This profound insight underscores the transformative power of consistent action. We don't become courageous by reading about courage, we become courageous by repeatedly facing our fears and acting in spite of them. We don't become generous by simply wishing to be generous, we become generous by regularly giving of our time, resources, and attention to others. Each virtuous act, no matter how small, reinforces the underlying character trait. It's like building muscle, each repetition strengthens the fiber. Over time, these individual acts coalesce, shaping our character and making virtuous behavior more natural, more instinctive, and more pleasurable. The initial effort required to act virtuously gradually diminishes as the virtue becomes an ingrained part of who we are. This process of habituation is the cornerstone of moral development and the pathway to becoming a truly virtuous individual. This process of habituation is not simply mindless repetition. It requires the guidance of reason, specifically what Aristotle called phronesis, or practical wisdom. Practical wisdom is the intellectual virtue that enables us to deliberate well about what is good and advantageous for ourselves, not in some general sense, but for living a good life overall. It's the ability to see what is appropriate in any given situation, to apply general moral principles to specific circumstances, and to determine the golden mean between deficiency and excess. A courageous person, for instance, doesn't just act recklessly. They use practical wisdom to discern when to stand firm and when to retreat, understanding that courage isn't about the absence of fear, but the ability to act rightly in the face of it. Phronesis is the bridge between theoretical knowledge and practical action. It's what allows us to navigate the nuanced realities of life, where there are seldom clear-cut answers, and to make choices that lead us towards eudaimonia. Without practical wisdom, our attempts at virtue might be clumsy, misguided, or even harmful. It is the guiding hand that directs our moral development, ensuring that our actions are not only well-intentioned but also effective and appropriate. The development of practical wisdom is intrinsically linked to experience. It's not something one can simply learn from a textbook. It requires living, making mistakes, learning from those mistakes, observing others, and reflecting on one's actions. This is why Aristotle believed that true practical wisdom often comes with age and maturity. A young person might be intellectually brilliant, but they lack the lived experience necessary to consistently make sound practical judgments. This suggests that the pursuit of eudaimonia is a lifelong endeavor, a continuous process of learning and refinement. We are always growing, always encountering new challenges, and always have opportunities to hone our practical wisdom. It encourages a mindset of lifelong learning and self-reflection, seeing every experience as an opportunity to deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world. This journey is not linear, it involves setbacks and challenges, but each one offers a chance to grow and become more practically wise. Aristotle also emphasized the importance of external goods and fortunate circumstances, but with a crucial caveat. While eudaimonia is primarily an internal state achieved through virtuous activity, he acknowledged that certain external conditions can facilitate or hinder its attainment. Good health, sufficient wealth to avoid destitution, good friends, and a supportive community can all make it easier to live a virtuous life. It's hard to be truly generous if you yourself are starving, or to cultivate wisdom if you are constantly battling illness. However, these external goods are not sufficient for eudaimonia, nor are they its cause. They are merely helpful conditions. The absence of extreme misfortune is also beneficial. A person living a virtuous life might still experience tragedy, but their internal strength and virtuous character would allow them to face such challenges with resilience, rather than being utterly crushed by them. This nuanced view acknowledges the realities of human existence, where we are not entirely immune to external forces, but asserts that our core flourishing remains primarily within our control, shaped by our character and choices. In essence, cultivating virtue and practical wisdom is about actively shaping who we are. It's a demanding but ultimately rewarding process that empowers us to live intentionally, rather than simply being carried along by circumstances or fleeting desires. By habitually choosing virtuous actions, guided by our developed capacity for practical wisdom, we gradually build a character that aligns with our highest human potential. This journey is not without its difficulties, but it is precisely through these efforts that we forge a robust and resilient sense of self, capable of navigating life's challenges with integrity and purpose. It is the path of becoming a truly flourishing human being, a life lived with excellence, a life that embodies eudaimonia. It is a profound invitation to take ownership of our lives, to actively participate in our own development, and to realize the full extent of our human capacity for a deeply meaningful existence. Bringing Aristotle's ancient wisdom into the complexities of modern life might seem daunting. Our world is vastly different from ancient Athens, with its unique challenges, distractions, and temptations. Yet, the core principles of eudaimonia, the pursuit of virtue, the cultivation of practical wisdom, and the understanding of happiness as flourishing, remain profoundly relevant. In fact, in an age often marked by anxiety, superficiality, and a relentless search for external validation, Aristotle's insights offer a powerful antidote, a grounded and enduring framework for living a truly meaningful and satisfying life. The challenge is not in the relevance of his ideas, but in their application, in translating his timeless philosophy into actionable steps that can guide us on the thinking path today. One of the most powerful applications of Aristotle's philosophy in modern life is the renewed focus on character over fleeting emotions. In a world obsessed with feeling happy all the time, Aristotle reminds us that true flourishing is about being a virtuous person, not just feeling good. This shifts our attention from chasing momentary highs to building lasting internal strength. Instead of asking, "What will make me happy right now?" we can ask, "What action will make me a more courageous, temperate, or just person?" This fundamental shift in perspective can liberate us from the tyranny of constantly needing external validation or immediate gratification. It empowers us to make choices that align with our deeper values, even when those choices are difficult or uncomfortable, knowing that they contribute to the overarching project of living a good life. It fosters resilience, allowing us to weather emotional storms by grounding ourselves in our cultivated character, rather than being swept away by every passing feeling. The cultivation of practical wisdom, phronesis, is arguably more crucial than ever. Our modern world presents us with an unprecedented array of choices, dilemmas, and information overload. From ethical questions surrounding technology to complex personal and professional decisions, navigating life successfully requires discerning judgment. Practical wisdom is not about following a rigid moral code but about the ability to reason well about what is good and appropriate in specific, often ambiguous, situations. It involves self-reflection, learning from experience, seeking counsel from wise individuals, and a constant effort to understand the nuances of any given context. In an age where instant opinions and moral absolutism often dominate discourse, practical wisdom encourages thoughtful deliberation, empathy, and a nuanced approach to life's challenges. It teaches us to pause, reflect, and consider the broader implications of our actions, guiding us towards choices that genuinely promote flourishing for ourselves and others. Another key takeaway from modern life is Aristotle's emphasis on habituation. We are constantly shaping our character through our daily routines and choices, whether consciously or unconsciously. If we consistently engage in activities that promote superficiality, instant gratification, or unkindness, we will become that kind of person. Conversely, by consciously and repeatedly choosing to act with courage, generosity, honesty, and kindness, we gradually build a virtuous character. This provides a clear roadmap for self-improvement. Identify the virtues you wish to cultivate, and then intentionally practice them in your daily life. Start small, be consistent, and celebrate incremental progress. Want to be more patient? Act patiently in small interactions. Want to be more disciplined? Practice discipline in one area of your life. Each conscious effort builds momentum, slowly but surely transforming who you are and aligning your actions with your aspiration for eudaimonia. This powerful concept reminds us that our character is not fixed, but continually being forged through our daily habits. Aristotle also recognized the vital role of community and friendship in a flourishing life. Humans are social animals, and eudaimonia is not a solitary pursuit. Meaningful relationships, genuine friendships, and participation in a supportive community are essential for human well-being. Good friends challenge us, support us, and provide opportunities to practice virtues like generosity, loyalty, and justice. In an increasingly isolated world, where digital connections often replace genuine human interaction, Aristotle's emphasis on true friendship and civic engagement serves as a powerful reminder of our fundamental need for connection. Cultivating strong, virtuous relationships should be a conscious effort, as they are not merely pleasant additions to life, but fundamental components of a truly good life. They provide a context for our virtues to manifest, offering opportunities for us to grow and to contribute to the well-being of others, thereby enriching our own lives in profound ways. Finally, Aristotle's philosophy encourages us to define our own good life based on our unique human function and potential, rather than conforming to societal pressures or superficial definitions of success. This involves introspection, understanding our unique talents and passions, and then directing them towards excellent activity. What is your organ? What are you uniquely good at, and how can you use that to contribute meaningfully to the world? Whether it's through your profession, your hobbies, your family life, or your civic engagement, the goal is to perform these functions excellently, in accordance with virtue. This isn't about achieving a specific status or accumulating a certain amount of wealth, but about living a life of purpose, integrity, and genuine contribution. It's about finding deep satisfaction in the process of becoming the best version of yourself and living a life that reflects your highest values. This journey of self-discovery and self-actualization, guided by Aristotle's profound insights, is the true, thinking path to a deeply fulfilling and flourishing existence, a life of genuine and lasting eudaimonia. Quick question: do you agree with Aristotle that happiness is more about living virtuously than just feeling good? Comment yes if you do, or share your thoughts below. Aristotle reminds us that happiness isn't a destination to be reached, but a continuous journey of virtuous activity, guided by wisdom. It's a profound invitation to actively shape our character, find our purpose, and ultimately, flourish as human beings, no matter what modern life throws our way. If this made you think differently about what it means to live a good life, subscribe to The Thinking Path for weekly wisdom and join our journey of intellectual exploration. What's one virtue you plan to cultivate starting today? Share it in the comments below. I'll pin the most inspiring one. And if you want to dive deeper into ancient wisdom for modern living, watch this video right here.